Today I'm going to show you how to start automating your marketing campaigns. This is one of the most powerful tools available in the BNTouch campaign, and it can really save you a lot of time. When your campaigns start automatically, you won't have to manually add the campaign to records. Based on the criteria that you select, called a trigger, you can set these campaigns to start or stop for records in your databases. To start, open up the Marketing tab. You may have noticed that one of the columns in this page is labeled Triggers. If a campaign has a non-zero number here, that means the campaign already has triggers associated with it. Let's set up a really easy triggered campaign. For this example, we'll work on a newsletter. For each campaign, if you click the three dots on the right, you'll notice a quick setup option in the drop-down. When we click it, it will ask us if we want to run it. Clicking confirm will take us through the wizard to configure the campaign. We do want our newsletter to start for all records in our database, so we'll choose the first option. Some campaigns don't necessarily apply to all your clients, so just choose the appropriate option. The next option will let us choose whether to make the campaign available to all users. This may not apply if you don't have multiple users in your BNTouch account. We'll say yes for now in case we add additional users to our account later. We'll be prompted to choose whether the campaign is co-branded. In this case, our newsletter isn't, so I'll check no. When we hit save and continue this time, the campaign will show how many records it will be starting for. This is the number of records that matched all of the criteria that we just set with the questions we answered. In this case, the number listed here is the total number of records I have in my Mortgages and Partnerships tabs. In the future, you'll want to look at this number and see if it matches the number of records you think this campaign needs to be sent to. In this case, the number matches what I expected, so I'm going to hit yes and start the campaign for these records. Sometimes you'll need to be a bit more specific when setting up automation triggers in your campaigns. Let's do another example. This time, we'll make a campaign for the new home buyers process. We're going to edit an existing campaign, and we're going to make a specific trigger that only targets new home buyers. In the Marketing tab, we'll find the campaign, click the three dots to the right, click Edit, and go to the Triggers subtab. Here, we want to add a new trigger, so we'll hit the Add Trigger button above the list. Since we're still just looking in the Mortgages database, we'll click New Mortgage Trigger. For a campaign targeted to new home buyers, we don't need to include our partners in the marketing. In the Advanced Triggers list, we can choose the criteria for the trigger. Let's first set a trigger for the client's status in the marketing sequence. We'll set equals to, then click the drop down to the right. I'll start it for clients that are leads and continue when they become a prospect. Put in an application and enter processing. By the time they fund, this one will have run its course, so we'll stop it there. We're also going to add another advanced trigger to further refine the list of records this campaign will apply to. We'll select Loan Purpose, Equals, and Purchase from the menu here. This campaign wouldn't apply to anyone refinancing. It's focused towards new home buyers. We don't want all new leads added to this campaign, just new home buyers. So in another trigger row, we'll click Group. Next, we'll set the trigger to only find records that equal first-time home buyers using the drop-down menus. That's it, so we'll click Apply Conditions at the bottom of the page. Let's go to my Mortgages tab and look at a client. I'll edit this one and add it to the first-time home buyers group. And I'll also make sure to note that the client is interested in a purchase loan. I'll update that record to save these changes, then go to the Campaigns tab for the client. You'll see that the campaign we set up earlier has already been added to this record. Success. Let's go back to the Marketing tab, and this time we'll open the Campaign Triggers subtab instead of choosing a campaign from the list first. This time, we're going to set something up for our partners instead of for a mortgage client. I'll choose a campaign from the drop-down menu, in this case, CE Partner Portal Introduction to Active Partners, and click New Partnership Trigger. Here I'm going to use the drop-down menus to choose when I want the campaign to trigger for a partner. I'll set it for when the marketing sequence equals active partner. In this list, I can choose multiple relevant options, but right now I'll just choose active partner. To make it more specific, I'll also set it for only when the record owner equals myself. This will make sure that this only applies to my records and not those of other users. Below, I can also set whether I want records to automatically be removed from a campaign at any triggered event. For example, I may want a partner removed once their marketing sequence is not equal to active partner. This way, if a partner stops working with me, they won't still get this messaging. I won't check the Make It Public box because this is just for me, so I'll hit Apply Conditions to save it. It will now be listed among the other triggers here, and we can see the criteria for the trigger to the right. If I ever want to remove these, I can using the 3 dots to the right and clicking Delete. This may be because I see a duplicate trigger, for example. In this case, we'll leave them be. For the next example, we'll set up a trigger for a campaign in processing. We'll use the Quick Setup option again. Most of your campaign triggers can be done this way, so I recommend trying to use it first whenever possible. This one will be for the 5th option. Yes for records selected in processing stage. This campaign is called File Submitted to Processing, so I'm going to choose to trigger it when the client reaches the Sent to Processing step. I'm going to select Yes again to make the campaign available to all users. For co-branding, I'm going to choose No. Though this campaign may send a notification to my partners, I don't want to include co-branded information in the campaign itself. When I hit Submit, I'll see that it found no matching records, and again, that is fine. I may not have records in my mortgages database that match these criteria today, but tomorrow I might. I'll complete the setup, then head to the Mortgages tab. Let's open a record. When I open the Mortgage Info section, I'll set it to In Processing, the only part of the marketing sequence that will trigger the campaign I made. When I go to the In Processing sub-tab for the record, I'll put in today's date for the Sent to Processing status. I could put yesterday or the day before. The campaign will look up 2 days back for this status. I'll make sure to hit Update to save the record. Then I'll open the Campaign sub-tab to check if the campaign has been triggered. It has. That lets me know that I have set the trigger successfully. Every criteria that I set has been met, so the trigger occurs for this record on that campaign. To see how all that worked, let's look at the Marketing tab again. In the Campaign Triggers list, I can see that trigger and note that the rules in the Add Campaign Win column have been met. The last concept we'll go over starts on this same screen, the Campaign Triggers sub-tab in the Marketing tab. If I want to see if any records match the requirements for a trigger, I can check the box to the left of the trigger and click the Check DB Against Trigger button from the list on the right. This will show the number of records that match the criteria and rules set up for the trigger, and we didn't have to start the campaign anew or edit a record to see if it worked. This is a great way to make sure your triggers are configured correctly and that your records are set to match the criteria set inside the triggers. I can also go to the Campaign Reports sub-tab and click the Records on Campaign link for any campaign to see a detailed report of which records have triggered the campaign and when. The report will even show when the various steps have triggered for the campaign. Using these automation triggers is the best way to save time in your marketing through BNTouch. Automated triggers make it so you don't have to take actions every time you need an email sent. Make sure to note whether your safe mode is on for your marketing. Even if marketing campaigns are triggered for a record, they won't automatically be sent if safe mode is set to on. You'll need to check your pending campaigns in the Dashboard tab to confirm which you want sent out in that case. I recommend that you turn safe mode off once you are comfortable with campaigns and triggers in your CRM, as this will save you the most time.